I have the utmost respect for those people
Absolutely.
that want that high impact. Teaching's hard.
It's being the parent. It's being this psychologist. Like, we want to wrap around completely to the child. We want to empower them.
Welcome back to the Exit Rich podcast. I got Mike Marrone, the president, the founder of, I know I'm going to mispronounce the name, Liguori Academy.
Liguori Academy.
Liguori
Italian,
Academy.
that's what you know.
Liguori Academy. What's fascinating about his school is not just about high school. It's about, he has a trades program there. He has a cybersecurity program there, a web design program there, and a healthcare program there. And every student has to take one of these courses. And he believes in the trades. He believes in making sure not every kid's a fit for college. I asked Mike to be on here because he has a different perspective as an educator. And we're going to talk about a lot of that for so many of you parents that watch this podcast and listen to it. Is we put so much pressure on our kids about school. I don't want to say school's for fools because Mike might get mad, but there's a little bit of that when you look at what school's for and what they're pushing on kids. Mike, thank you so much for coming to the farm, brother.
Yeah.
So, Mike, tell everybody who you are.
Sure.
And what you do and what made you open this school. Because I've been to the school. The school's beautiful. I mean,
thank you.
Congratulations on all your success.
Yeah, so, I grew up as a teacher. When I was a young kid, I was influenced by good teachers in elementary school and high school. God only knows I needed the extra help when I was in high school. I was always those, in elementary school, I couldn't color in the lines properly. When I was in high school, I couldn't sit still on my desk. And throughout my time, I wanted to study to become a teacher. I went to LaSalle University. Taught for a good number of years after that. Went on to Villanova for my master's in counseling. But I realized that in education, we cannot have this one-size-fits-all education. And that one-size-fits-all education means you're going to complete 4 years of high school. And in the traditional model, for the kids who don't get it, we're going to throw a trade at them because we know they're not going to get it. But for the kids who get it, we're going to push the college narrative. And college is going to be the only choice for those kids. So it's like a one-size-fits-all. And also, we don't individualize the process of education. So we have students who come from all different levels. Either they're lumped together in a certain group or they're separated. And when you have students, for example, when I taught in Catholic high school, who are in the fourth track, it was noted by the students in the fourth track that they're not going to go anywhere. Fourth track is dead end. I'm going to take whatever classes I have to. In fact, they always say that they were good at memorizing, knowing the rules, but not with the content. But yet they were some of the smartest kids you ever want to encounter because no one ever tapped in their intelligence. So that was all the premise of getting the school started, is how can we start a school that's not one size fits all, a school that can work to individualize a learning experience with students in all different levels, but then provide them an opportunity that if college is not their choice, that we have to back that up. We have to give them the tools and the wherewithal to do that. And we want to do it in an area such as Kensington. Because if you look at the statistics, I don't think anyone here needs to have any kind of special degree in education or advanced degree in education. But when you look at in Kensington, there's not many options. They go to public school. There's a couple charter schools. It's on a waiting list.
You're a charter school, though.
No, we're private.
Private.
So we're private. Yeah, we're a private school. So there's no other option. So we wanted to create an option, and we kind of want to reverse the narrative too, which is interesting. Instead of putting the onus of the parents, the financial obligation, which private schools, as you know, cost upward of $20,000 or more, $30,000, depending on the private school, 40, that we want to put the ownership on us, that we will help the parents. So no child is ever turned away because of finances. We find all the opportunities through people to support our students, programs, partnerships, contracts that we have that make it work so that our parents never worry about not having been able to afford the education. So we make that possible for all of our kids. And we are 250 students, 300, currently 350 students in our school.
Is that 350 or is it 250?
325. 325. There it is.
It's
always good to have Sandy with us,
Yeah,
she's telling us good interest.
On operation, I can tell this. Yeah. So let's just talk about this, right? I mean, you don't look like a school teacher. You look like a bouncer. I mean, you're a big guy, but you're one of the nicest guys.
Oh, I hope. Thanks.
Yeah, you are. You're nice to everyone. Like I've been to your school. It's impressive. Like I think it's 3 or 4 floors, if I remember correctly.
4.
Yeah. Yep. You have the big, huge hall upstairs where you could speak and have events, but you also have a school across the street. When you walk through your school, it's not a typical school. You'll see kids playing arcade games.
Mm-hmm.
You'll see kids working one-on-one with teachers. You'll see kids broken out into groups out in the hallway. It's not a typical school. Can you?
Right.
I mean, from an educator standpoint, like where my kids go, there's no way. I'm not an educator, but there's no way they would be allowing these type of things happening, right? It'd be against all the premise of. Can you tell me what your thought process is?
You know,
only in my opinion, when I
well, for a lot of our students, or for our students, period, school should be the second home. It shouldn't be one of those things like, oh, I have to go to school today. Now, I'm not saying we don't have that. We definitely do. And there's some kids who come to school, we're like, oh, you're here today. You should have stayed home. However, we want it to be like, we want to wrap around completely to the child. So we want to empower them. And I think the only way we can empower them is if we get to their social, emotional, their likes, their dislikes, their interests. And to be honest with you, it's so individualized to the point where the principal is at the front steps greeting the students who are coming in every day. The dean is outside greeting the students, and they can tell you from the time a kid walks in if that kid's off or not, because they get to know the students. So we're small by design. That's the other part to our school, is we created a small school so that we would have the ability to get to know these students. And that's a big prize of ours. So not only is it being part of being sustainable, but to be able to transform lives is to be small. I grew up and I taught only in schools that had 500, 600 students or more. That model of education is not necessarily the model of education that works. When you're smaller, it could be more painful because you feel like when the boys and the girls or whoever's dating, and when that goes away, that could be, wow. And it could be, it could really, it could be tough, man. But we want them to be in this small learning experience so we can get to know them and we can know what their likes and interests. So for example, you're talking about the video games. We have an esports lab, but we want the students to be able to design, like, what do you want to be involved in? What is after school? What is school activity? Every student who comes to our school has to be involved in one or more extracurricular activities. Now that doesn't take into consideration all the workforce things they have to do, all the other additional educational programs they do outside of the curriculum during the course of the day. But we want it to be a home. And I want them to come there and feel comfortable because some of them are coming from situations where that doesn't exist at home. So the longer we can keep them in the building, the more we can do with them, the more that school can feel, when you think about it, high school, out of all the schools, like when you have grade school, this whole idea of middle school is crazy. It's new. But we have elementary school, high school, and college. High school was the newer part of education. When I say newer, like years ago, that was an afterthought. It was like you went to elementary school, you did all your schooling, and then from that you hopped right into the universities, and those back in the day. So I think high school was still a sketchy, in some places, like, these large factories where they're producing kids. Do they really know the kids?
Well, this is the thing I say to everyone. Do you know how school was really started and how it was designed? Do you know how school truly started back when it all started? Does that
It's so a lot of it had to do with the church, with the Catholic Church, that they were able, it was women who, number one, got the best education. They went to the convents, they went to the abbeys, and they received the best education. Meanwhile, the men were on the street, the boys were on the street. They took up a trade, or they took the trade, and they found jobs.
But what they found job.
That's it.
It was to produce. Schools were really produced for businessmen that came together and said, we need a place to train
Exactly.
women to type, answer, whatever it may be. And they taught, all these things, reading, writing, typing, and men could have taken them too, right? But if you look at it, and then what happened was, because back in, people don't realize when you were a farmer, your dad taught you how to farm.
Right.
If you were the local lawyer, most likely you became the local lawyer your son, because your dad taught you how to be a lawyer.
Exactly.
Or if you're a local doctor, then what happened was, okay, well, the market needs employees. Well, these people, the factory needs employees. Okay, well, we're going to make training centers, we're going to make school, and we're going to produce employees. And that's why I'm so anti-school.
Oh,
people don't understand.
So listen, I
don't want my sons ever to be employees.
Yeah. So, and to that point, the model of that. So when you go back during the time of the French Revolution, around that time, there was a gentleman by the name of John Baptiste de La Salle. La Salle University is named after him. La Salle High School is named after him. Catholic saint, started a group of brothers. They're when you think about the priesthood, their brothers would be the equivalent to like male sisters, religious sisters. But their number one job was, number one, to put the language in the vernacular. So whatever the language was being spoken in that community, so if it was French, if it was English, it was Spanish, that the kids would be taught in the vernacular, not in Latin. The second thing was to make sure that boys had the opportunity, as the same as girls, in receiving those educations. And so what he did is he went into the city, took kids off the street, put them in these schools, and that's where they offered a vocational, so to say, today. That's where they called some schools the schools for maladjusted children. In other words, they were discipline problems or dysmorphs. But we knew how to take those kids and provide for them at that time. Now, when you look at education, I think one of the saddest things in education is that, and I'll explain this, there's a divorce between industry and education. They don't talk. Imagine if industry informed education to prepare students for life after high school. There's not that conversation. So we have a group of people that belong to this group called Lift, and they'll come in and they'll say, like, here goes the technology curriculum that we have. Talk to me. Is this technology curriculum really what's out there today? Because now with artificial intelligence,
I'm just going to go here and just say this to you, but go ahead.
coding's not a big thing anymore. So we have industry partners who are men and women who are successful in those different domains, and they come in, no, like, you know what, cybersecurity is where we have one gentleman, for example, who has a recruiting company for IT. He said, look, these are the trends I'm looking for. These are the people that I'm looking to hire.
Let me guess, people that can write Python, people that understand
Python,
C#, people
yep.
that understand
The cybersecurity, exactly. How to put together a service desk with computers and stuff.
I mean, yeah, that's
Education's not doing it. Even when you look, if you go back further, when you went to school, the sciences, right? You had physical science, biology, chemistry, and physics, and it went on. That was only there because they were put alphabetically. There's no rhyme or reason to that. And when you look at some of it, it was the industrial revolution at the time that did influence education, but then we haven't revisited that since then.
This is the thing with, and this is the thing, and now I'm glad you came on. I'm not trying to put you on the hot seat because I like you.
You can, Lance, you can.
I'm not trying to put you on the hot seat.
Go ahead.
Because I've never looked at my kids' report cards ever, right? And my wife handles all that. And people are like, why would you send your kids to Germantown Academy? Well, it's a great school,
right?
Great network, great people. And whether my kids finish at Germantown or go somewhere else is a totally different conversation, right? But what I can tell you is this. What my kids come home and learn, ChatGPT could give it to them. And there's no critical thinking they're being taught, no critical thinking whatsoever. There's why don't you homeschool your kids? Well, I think the social aspect of school is actually more important than what they teach in school because they're not teaching AI. Like every kid should have to take robotics. I know you're in a robotics program,
right?
But every kid should have to take robotics. Every kid should have to learn what a P&L is and financial literacy. Every kid should have to understand what it means to start some type of business going through school, meaning whether it be you're selling popcorn, you're selling candy bars that we used to sell back in our day, whatever it is, you have to give your kid a chance for entrepreneur. But the common thing is this, and I'm sure you heard this as an educator, because I heard some educators say it, the harder you work, the better your grades are, the better job you'll get.
True.
Right?
That's what you know.
And anyone that's ever said that around me, I'm like, I don't want my kids to get a job. Like, because, and there's nothing wrong with having a job because being an entrepreneur isn't for everyone. But how many kids do you think with their unique personalities, Mike, and just be honest, in your school? Because you got kids that are all levels. I'll be willing to bet you, my opinion is 30 to 40% of them, if not 50%, have that entrepreneurial backbone because they hate school because they don't fit into the system.
They don't fit into the, and that's,
they don't fit into the system.
That's what I mean by one size fits all education. We got to get rid of that. You know, we're going to have gym class. Why? Well, because it's offered. And then you go into the gym class and they're throwing a football or they're throwing a basketball around, you know? So it's not customized or individualized with the kids. And that's what small learning does. It's be able to take what Lance and what Mike like and be able to customize it so that we can follow. So give you a perfect example. In our school, you're right, as far as jobs. I don't want a kid to graduate and have a job. They're supposed to be better than the generation before them. And we have to supply that tool belt with them. And that tool belt sometimes is social emotional learning. You know, they don't have the proper course set, you know, so we have a social emotional, it's a course every kid has to take. It's part of their workforce development. They go through workforce training, like from what is the school values, what are workforce values? And then every year it gets tougher and tougher, not tougher, more that we offer, interview skills, talk about business opportunities. We have entrepreneurs that come in and talk about business because every kid there's a lot of kids who want to start a business, but they don't see the blood, sweat, and tears behind it. So for example, you come in and talk to the kids about business, they only get the point like, oh, I'm making this money. They don't hear the blood, sweat, and tears that get into the business, you know? So and then by the time they're a senior, we have them out on an internship, their junior and senior year, because we want them to realize a half hour before work is late. We want you to be, you know, we want to give them those skills. And for us to be able to graduate, you're not just graduating with a high school diploma. You got to have the internship. You got to have the workforce credentials. And these are certifications. So these are certifications that put them right into an entry-level career position.
Absolutely.
Not in a job.
Let's talk about the trade school you have here, because obviously, you know, I love the trades. I'm a big fan of the trades. The majority of schools rip the trades out because the parents looked at, like, people
look down on it.
They look down on trade, like, but they don't realize the average plumber is probably making 150, 125 at this point. The average HVAC, same thing.
And the average age of a plumber in Philadelphia was 75 years of age. So what does that tell you? We're going to need a lot more plumbers in the city.
You're gonna need a lot more plumbers,
Mhm.
and but the problem is everybody wants their kid to go to college, and the average kid coming out of college, you can Google and find out, is less than 60 grand a year. 50, like, but you're having 100 or two. Like when I went to college, I went to Temple, and I started laughing, and I love Temple. I'm proud to say I went there. Um, but I think my Temple degree cost me like a total of $20,000
Yeah,
for
right.
like literally
Yeah,
legit.
yeah.
Legit, like, I went to community college in Philadelphia, I went to Temple, right? I think I think I had, like, $17,000 in student loans for 4 years, and that was me maxing out the loan, so I had spending money, right? Like,
Yeah, I know you're saying this, man.
because
Yep.
it was, like, $700 for your, whole semester at community college, right, when I went, and it was, like, for Temple, it was, like, 1,500 or 1,600 for a whole semester, like, it was, like now I hear it's
Oh,
$30,000 a year or
it's
$40,000 a year, I'm like, "How are these because the money hasn't raised with
no,
this.
and it's the bureaucracy. And my brother's paying 97 to Fordham,
97,000 a year.
$97,000 a year at Fordham University. Yeah,
But it's not a university, it's a business.
it's a
Ford
bit.
is a
Well, they're older, so that's the
the
thing.
schools are a business.
They are, and I'll be honest with you. In some ways, it's. I don't want anybody to get angry when I say this, but some of them are a scam. So you're putting out debt to be in debt and to start off in debt in life. I don't know. I mean, a lot of our kids, again, it's very hard not to push the college narrative. They want to go to college, their families. But I taught in a variety of different schools. And I think schools at the end of the year will get up their graduation and say, oh, our students have received $20 million worth of scholarships. Come back to November, Thanksgiving break, and come back Christmas break and ask me how many of those kids are still in those scholarships or how many of those kids are still staying in the school. What we did with our school, we promised to take care of our kids till the age of 21. So we have office hours for our alumni. Our alumni is not the traditional alumni where you come in and rah, go to a game. Our alumni is to help support our students who graduate. And we see a good number of students who leave us. They had all the workforce preparation, they had all the career development, they graduated the credential. They still want the college pathway, but because they don't have these external supports at home, they don't survive. And it's the truth. Or they go to college and like they're blown away by the process. And so we maintain a relationship with them to the age of 21. Now, can they come like 22? Of course. But we formally say 21, that you're with us to the age of 21, even though you're physically not in the building. So we see kids that come back because it's the world we live in. I'll be honest, I went to school to become a teacher. I don't know. Should it really take 4 years for somebody to become a teacher? I don't know.
I mean, I
That's
was that's my first degree is in special education.
oh, wow.
Which we yeah. Yeah, I taught at Bash Martin for 2 weeks.
That's
28th and Brown or
right.
Popular, whatever is down in the city, and, like, I was like, I can't it was a great school, great principal. I think I started off with $27,000 a year. It was, like, insane. You break that down, I think I brought home, it was, like, $580, like, for 2 weeks of pay. I was like, "This is lunacy."
Yeah, it
Like,
is.
I was like, "This is not even real life," right? And teaching's hard.
It's a lot of prep. So it's the stuff that you don't see that's really hard. It's the prep. It's being the parent. It's being this psychologist. It's being the social worker. It's trying to connect the
I felt
dots.
like dealing with the kids was easier than dealing with my parents.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not being rude, like, I know, like, the kids, I was kinda like, "Alright,
Yeah.
man, you guys are cool kids, like, we'll figure this out 8 hours a day, 7 hours a day,
Yep.
we'll figure it out," like, right? Like, but the parents, like, are just nightmares.
Yeah. Oh, or it also happens when it's a lack of parental support. That's a nightmare too, because then you have kids who don't have the parental support. You're looking for support from home. So we want the kids to identify one person who's going to walk with them the 4 years. And I think that's the challenge of education today. And teachers, I never understood. I was with somebody one day and they were saying to me, "I can't believe how much you pay your teachers." I'm like, "What makes you think that they shouldn't get a good salary?" Because it's not the work you see in the classroom; it's the work that's going on at home.
I
It's the preparation. And people say, well, they have those months off in the summer. Well, I'll be honest with you, mentally, if you didn't have those summer months to regain your all, your everything about you, I can't see straight through.
I say this all the time, education doesn't matter. 2 plus 2 equals 4 anywhere in the world, but the educators do matter.
Mm-hmm.
The educators like Mr. Ortman, Mr. Dunn, these guys, Andy Sanko, saved my life. Like,
Yeah.
these guys saved my Ricky Mahoney from Glen Mills saved my life. Like, they never really taught me anything about business. There's no way they would bet on me being here. But they care. They took time out of their day to
That means that
put their arm around me, to take me to restaurant prep. Like, honestly, nothing to do with school. Like, it sounds
yeah,
horrible,
no,
and But I outshot 99% of the kids I went to high school with, business-wise. I'm not saying, listen,
Yeah.
everyone to each their own, but business-wise. But yet I was the worst student in my class at a premier high school, which I love Council Rock. I won't say a bad word about them, because without me going there, I don't believe it that I'm here.
So Lance, let me say this too. There's I'm half Lebanese, and there's a Middle Eastern proverb, and I don't know who it comes from. So if anybody's listening and looking for authorship, I never will take words from my own. But there's a incredible quote that sums up what you just said, and it says, "Stand up for the teacher could have been a prophet." When you think about what a prophet is someone who is very unpopular, but has a mission to spread the word.
Hey everyone, thank you for joining us today. I want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors, Service Titan and Rilla, our technology of choice to helping us scale and grow our business, and making sure all of our viewers have the technology to scale their business, so when they want to sell it, they're able to.
If you look in the Old Testament, the prophets were very unpopular. In fact, you see Isaiah, he cries out and says, "Lord, why'd you curse me? Why'd you dupe me? You knew me from when I was in my mother's womb, but yet you cursed me, and you made me the spokesperson for you." So the prophet is never popular, but the prophet is like the voice of God. And so when you think about the teacher is the voice of God. He's a voice of that Howard. He's a voice of many, he or she, trying to get you on that right path. So I always use that with the teacher. Stand up for the prophet. Stand up for the teacher could have been the prophet.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of every teacher that cares. I think, like any business, because there are businesses, I'm going to say 50% of the teachers don't care, and they're just trying to get through their day, and they want their summers off, and
The comfortability, yeah, exactly.
they want the security. And I think there's 50% that show up every day, and they say, if I change one life or two lives throughout my career, then I had high impact.
Yeah.
And they're the teachers I have. No different than coaches. I have the utmost respect for those people that want that high impact. Let's get back to the trades.
Sure.
You guys have a trade school. What percentage of your kids, I got to assume that's probably your most popular program, that or the web design?
So to be honest with you, and healthcare. Yeah. So it fluctuates. And and the thing is this, when we set this up.
The healthcare one.
Yeah.
Just do me for
So
loop
healthcare, yeah. So healthcare, all right. So within the 4 cohorts, students get to choose which cohorts, like choosing a minor. So when I went to high school, and I went to Newman, St. John Newman High School in Philadelphia. I love Newman, but in my senior year of my electives, it was either I was taking French. Who's going to take French the junior and senior year? I'm not.
No one even likes French.
Right? Exactly. So there you go. So it's either that or the other elective I was going to take was accounting. I have no interest in a balance sheet, debits and credits. I really didn't.
You should have took that one.
But I did.
No way doing it today.
Exactly. So I took that one, and the idea that the teacher who was going to teach it was a neighborhood guy in South Philly, and everyone loved taking this class. So what does Mike Marrone do? I take the class. What happens the first day they come into class, and they said, too many students in here. Letters A through whatever, you stay here, you come with me. And we went, and I had one of the toughest teachers in my existence. Like, I mean, when I tell you, that's why I can't look at debits and credits. That's why we have a great accounting firm that guides us and a good COO who does that. It terrorized me. Just the thought of like that classroom. I wanted that not to happen with us. I wanted students to be able to take all their college-ready courses, but then in addition to that, I want them to take in their electives a cohort, which would be like their minor. Of course. And in that cohort, so if they go into healthcare, they're doing phlebotomy, patient assistant, or medical assistants. Jobs that we know in the medical field that you can go into with a high school diploma and the credential. So they get certification by the national certification associations. That would put them at a good price tag. Then when we look at
what's a good price tag? $20, $25 an hour, $30?
Yeah.
That's a good price tag.
It is. And then from there, let your employer pay you to go back to college. If your employer really invests and you do a good job, let them pay you if you want to go back and do advanced. That's the way I look at it. Some of our kids have that opportunity. Absolutely. Technology, we do the cybersecurity, PC Pro, CompTIA, and all those.
So you're going to start off as a level 1 engineer.
Exactly.
And that's pays, once again.
Exactly. And CAD design. And then in construction, it's all the OSHAs. And all of them, by the way, take OSHA. And then in construction, it's OSHA. And then they get a pre-apprentice certification from the state of Pennsylvania. So that's significant.
So assuming they can immediately go straight to the union with this.
They can.
And they're going to accept them with those.
Exactly. It's like we work like with the Carpenters Union, perfect example.
Yeah.
They're wonderful. They are really good. We work with merit and non-merit shops, wherever there's going to be an opportunity for our kids to plug into. So I would say that the students, so let me kind of backward map too. We have 2 programs at our school. I heard you mention Glen Mills. So we have a private school, the 200 students, and then we have what we call accelerated learning. They're for the students who are over age undercredited. For whatever reason.
I've been in that program.
There you go.
I know what it is.
You listen, So they're the students who are overage undercredited for whatever reason they became overage undercredited. There's a variety of different things. The students in the private school, I would say there's a good 50 to 60 that are enrolled in the construction trade program of students.
25%.
So yeah, so it's really
Makes
a
sense.
mix of all the different cohorts of students, and they can only switch out their sophomore to junior year. Once you're in a junior year, like there's no switching back and forth. You got to stay in the program because you got to get your credentials. For you to graduate, you have to have those three. You don't have those three, you can't graduate. Now, I'm not talking about Microsoft. I mean, every freshman gets Microsoft. They get all those Excel, like.
Why do you think so many high schools rip the trades out? Right? I mean, they just ripped them out and out.
It all comes, my theory, and this is my theory, but no.
Because like you're putting it in, you're plugging it in, you're giving kids an opportunity in other high schools, and the parents are screaming, I don't want my kids in trade school. You know how many parents say to me, I don't want my kids in a trade school?
Absolutely.
Huh?
I think there was a poor stigma on those programs. Like when I think about back when I went to Newman, the students who went in the trades, you left halfway in the middle of the day and you went to Bach. Everybody always kidding around like, be okay, go to Bach. But that was that stigma, and I think that stigma existed forever. And then we were pushing the college narrative because it went along with what we were doing with standards, and the standards were being set in such a way that, you know, you hear all these different things of standards, like if it's going to be good in Council Rock, it's going to be good in Philadelphia. Like we got wrapped up so much because we're.
Do you believe that if it's good in Council Rock, it's good in Philadelphia? Because they're two different total demographics.
Narratives, exactly. So it all depended on funding. It all came down to the almighty buck. That's why, and I know some people will listen to this and probably say something, I am in favor of the president doing what he wants to do as far as demolishing the Department of Education. It benefits those of us in private school education that need that funding. Private school education that we benefit so much. I don't think there needs to be that regulate. Like it depends on the states. And so that's what
I agree with you. I believe your child should be able to go to any school they want as long as they can get the transportation there back and forth.
So public school, they're going to be not pro school choice because it looks like we're pulling money from
Public school is a business.
Exactly.
It's a business.
But then we also have money should follow the kid. So if a kid is, so for example, with us in the state of Pennsylvania, and I think you've heard me talk about this, we have the EITC tax credit program. It's wonderful. People who make a certain amount of money, they can take their taxes and their taxes can be given to a school for financial assistance. That enables every student, you know, when we talk about the whole equity conversation and thing that you're providing opportunities for every student then to receive a private school education by just simply taking your taxes and turning your taxes into tuition assistance. That's school choice. Now we're talking in Pennsylvania, there's possibility of the school vouchers coming about for students who are in public school who want to transfer it to a private school. I'm a firm believer that money should follow the students. And therefore, it shouldn't be just set because they're going to go to public school. Our school, we complement public school education.
I don't know. I don't. Like, for me, it's real simple. I graduated from Council Rock, which you heard me say I love. But if I didn't have a guy like Andy Sanko, Mr. Holland, Applegate, I would have been miserable. Like, I would have never made it. I barely made it anyway.
Yeah.
But these men protected me. Mr. Yates, my principal, ex-Marine, God bless his soul. Like, the man protected me and made sure, like, my last month at Council Rock, I sat in his office for my last month, no lie, because he just wanted me to graduate and not get in trouble. And he had me sit in his office every day because he said, I'm doing, and I look back on it, and I thought, man, this guy's just a fucking jerk. He's torturing me. I look back, I'm like, this man cared about me so much, and he didn't want me to get in trouble, get kicked out with literally a month to go to school. He literally, Miss Wilson, our superintendent, wanted to throw me out. He didn't. And he's like, we're getting you to graduate, man. He's like, we're going to get you to graduate. Like, but you don't have much of that going on in public school these days. Let's be honest.
Yeah. And you know what? When you look at, there's a lot you can say. And, you know, when you look at certain school districts, we keep on throwing money, and we're not seeing the results. Any business, if you were investing in somebody, I'm sure you want to keep on funding if it wasn't producing the results.
You know, it's funny. My brother-in-law is the dean over at Pennington. And I said to him, like, 3-4 years ago, 5 years ago, because I wasn't sure I was going to go with my kids. I was going to go to Pennington. So he was there and make it simple, right? And he said, Lance, our standard is we have kids go to Harvard every year, Stanford, like, but then I thought of Council Rock. I only know one kid that ever went to Harvard in, like, my up and down 3-4 years, and his name was Hollis Waite. And he was a bright kid. His dad was a super lawyer who was a judge, and he went to Harvard. But outside that, I couldn't tell you one other kid that went to Harvard, right? But in these private schools, the norm is, like, you go to Malvern Prep, you go to GA, you're gonna have half your school going
The
to
expectation is, yeah.
Stanford, Cornell, Lehigh's. Like, it's not like half the school, like, some kids do go to community college, I'm not being rude,
Yeah.
but you understand it's the
Yeah.
standard, where the standard that accounts rock even isn't the majority of kids are going to
Yeah.
big time schools.
No, I agree, and it's the truth, and I don't know many. I mean, our school, our kids stayed locally, which we like, in their smaller schools because we can see the support they're getting. We can also help them with the support. We had a couple that went out of state, but mostly like the Temples, the Holy Family, the LaSalle universities, the schools that we know could really individualize and help these kids and give them the support. Because colleges, no matter how you look at it, it's very expensive.
College is a business. I don't understand this,
It is
right?
it's a big business.
If you're not going, like, this is the thing. I don't understand. I get the experience. Like, my wife went to Penn State. She had 4 great years there at Penn State where she got to have fun, enjoy her life. I always say my biggest regret is I didn't go away to school, right? It's the only thing. I've lived a great life. But, like, if you look at it from a business standpoint, every kid should start at community college
Mhm.
and then do 2 years there. I don't know what community college costs. I'm assuming it's like, what,
If you're
10,000?
well, if you're no, not e no, nowhere near that, but if you're a student in the city of Philadelphia, there's even programs for you to go for free.
For community college.
Community College of Philadelphia.
So you go to community college. Like, so let's just say, what's this community college cost that someone had to pay? 10 grand a year?
I would say it's gonna be less than 10 grand a year.
5 grand a year?
I would think somewhere between that ballpark between 5 and 10, but I don't think it's gonna be 10. I might be wrong. I don't
So let's just say it's 7,500. Now I go 2 years there, I'm at $15,000 in debt, right? If I just do 1 year, almost any other college, it's gonna be minimum 30,000. Is that correct?
right. Yeah. Oh, a minimum.
Minimum. Okay,
Yeah.
minimum. Okay. So now I'm 15,000 in debt. Then I can pick truly after 2 years of going through school, what's my major? What do I want to do? And then start taking my debt from there.
Mhm.
So I just saved myself, literally, you think about it, let's just say it's 40,000 on average. I'm 15,
Save yourself
I'm
some
literally $65,000 ahead of any game
absolutely.
by just going to
100%.
community college.
Yeah.
And do you believe that the education you get at community college is any different than
I think the education you get so look at Community College of Philadelphia. They have an automotive program. It's unlike no one else's. I mean, they're certified to take care of I think they're one of the few, from what I understand, in the region that takes care of Toyota, that you can get a certification just to work on Toyota cars from Toyota. They have programs from culinary. They have the workforce development programs. They have everything you can think of. Everything you can think of at Community College of
and these
Philadelphia.
people are probably coming out making better money
And more intentionalized about what they want to do.
and no
Mhm.
debt, really. Or some debt, but not.
Some debt, but not to the debt you're going to get when you go
You
to.
could probably pay back your debt.
Absolutely. See, that's the problem is that when they come out with a debt, it's self-defeating, right? And if you don't, and today the job market, everything's changing. Everything's in flux. That's why we got to keep on pushing, not jobs, careers. And I'll be honest with you, I think that's what we're starting to see now is we're trying to bring, so I'm going to tell you one other point to this. We have construction. We're looking now to look into manufacturing. Manufacturing is coming big and it's coming strong in the country. If you look,
Do you think it's actually going
I
to come
do.
back?
I
You
do. I think a lot that's going to come from tariffs and things being built here in the country. I think that we're
Hey, let's
looking
just
to-
say we got another 3 years of Trump.
I
And
think
then the Democrats take over.
I think
Do
we're
you-
going to still see manufacturing. I do because I think even prior to him, manufacturing was going to become unpopular, and we started to see an upswing on
I
it.
just think after COVID, anyone with a fucking half a brain would say, if we really had a real pandemic, and I'm not being rude here, let's be honest, like, say what you want, like, it's not one that was man-made, and it came to the China people surviving or us surviving, they ain't shipping us goods.
Right. So it's what I mean. And even
So for me, you better make shit here.
yep. So even if you look in Philadelphia, like Philadelphia's becoming the life science capital of the country. If you go down by the University of Penn, between 30th Street Station, Drexel, Penn, and all that, they're building like a village of life science. There's even a tower there. I forget the name of the tower that has all life-size labs. But life science is not just the part on this end that's the doctors, the scientists. The other part to it is the manufacturing part. The people who don't have those college education, but still they need them in life sciences. Like, for example, like the work in the labs to help, there's the dispose of the things is not just like, oh, I'm going to be a trash. It has nothing to do with being a trash. Disposing items out of a lab take special training. So life sciences in Philadelphia is really blowing up. It's like the largest, money keeps on being poured in here in the city. And you need somebody who not only, like, again, not just the doctors and the scientists, but you also need the other people who go into the manufacturing part, who are going to work in these places and help produce those medications and those things that and get involved. I know in Kensington, there's a couple of new life science labs that are popping up in these old abandoned warehouses. So that's a big thing now.
You know, I don't want to keep you too much longer. What's next for your school and for your children? Like, what's the next program besides the fashion? Where do you guys go from here? How many kids are you going to try and get it to?
So
How much room can you house?
we're going to max where we are now. And I think that's, again, keeping true to our mission, being able to sustain, being able to transform and give an outstanding program. The beauty of us is that we're permissionless. So we are an independent private school. We don't belong to a district. We don't belong to any network or anything. We're private independent school. Our next venture is with the building that you spoke of that we
Across the street.
across the street. Yep. What we want to do is on our second floor, we want to blow out a bigger trade center. And on the third floor, have the classrooms that match the trade center. The trade center will not only just be for our students, but when you have students who go to private school or you have students who go to charter school, they don't have the ability. So for example, let's just say you go to Jones Charter School and you're a junior or senior in high school. Jones doesn't offer anything in the trades, but we can't send you like they did in the old days over to Bach and those schools. So we have to look for private institutions that were able to offer those programs. So our goal is to expand the trade program, have an incredible trade program. We've had different people.
Almost like a mini Penco Tech.
Exactly, for high school students. Exactly. And then at the same time,
It's a great idea. They're actually very smart.
Have technology, technology, all the things that would go into the trades and also with some parts of manufacturing. So that's what we're looking for expansion.
I think you have business groups like all the unions. I think everyone
Unions have been great.
would sponsor you and support
absolutely.
you. I think almost anyone that's looking for trades, the AOC groups, like all this stuff, Nexstar, I think it would all be like, why not sponsor?
And why not having that community? There's nothing like that in the Port Richmond / Kensington community. So it's good to have something like that there that can feed with the kids of different schools, people in the community too as well, because that's our mission. We want that. Then there's some conversation on the line to open another campus. Like, where would that be? I'll be honest with you. We have to give it the 10-year to see, where we are.
You're at 9 years.
I know.
He's 9 years right now. He's 10 year next year.
It's like the fundraise for a school. Like it's an whole lot. So we're, and again, we do that. One of our tenets is to be sustainable. So it's like looking at ways that you can sustain this program. And that's why we're very big proponents on the school choice. Like, money should follow the kids. And so
Do you think that happens?
now presently in the tax credit program in the state of Pennsylvania, yes, the money does follow the kids because we're able to take taxes.
Now I'm saying, but do you think it comes down to, do you think they just roll school choice out?
Oh, I think it's happening. It's happening. I mean, other states more than others. So if you look at, for example, Texas, it's why, I mean, there's a lot of states.
So Texas has school choice already?
100%. In fact, it's one of the best places to open the private school now if you wanted to. But there's other states that have the voucher program.
Maybe that smile.
That's how you know what, man. I live in Texas, though. That's a little bit too far from South Philly. You know what I mean? That's a little bit too at Margate, New Jersey in the summer. You know what I mean? I have to get on a.
So you do you think, when do you think it comes to Pennsylvania? Is there any in the mid-Atlantic that?
So yeah, there's, but there's a degree of it now in Pennsylvania through the tax credit program because that's school choice.
I know, but you're really getting the tax credit program. You have to have enough money to allow you to give scholarships out. Because that's what you're doing.
Right.
You're giving
Well, see,
scholarships
then
out.
the other part to it is like the voucher program. So like, in other words, so much. So there's all kind of ideas. Like, we belong to an incredible network of schools. When I say belong, that we network with them. They don't tell us how to run our schools or that regard. It's called the Yas Network. Jeff and Janine Yas, incredible entrepreneurs, incredible philanthropists in education. We applied for this thing called the Yas Prize. There's over 2,000 people a year who apply for the Yas Prize, and only 25 people are chosen, 25 schools throughout the country. So they're either schools, they could be educational platforms, they could be organizations. We were chosen as one of the top 25 finalists, semifinalists. So they help us a lot to identify and to work towards school choice. So that's our big thing is really advocating for that. Do I see vouchers coming to Pennsylvania? It's there. It's right now there. Things have changed.
It's more of a Republican thing than Democrat, though.
It's a shame that it has.
It's a Republican.
It is. But however,
we're a Democrat state.
But I will say this: in our last tour of Harrisburg, when we went in June, there was more and more Democrats who were switching over to the school choice side. Jordan Harris, who is House Appropriations, he's one person who was not in school choice, who is now in the school choice camp.
Here's a question for you. You got the robotics programs pretty good at your school.
Yep.
And I just got a question for you because I'm just curious for my own personal here. Your robotics club, you have your teacher there. It makes you guys money. You guys compete. Would you ever rent part of your building out to another robotics
No.
club that competes with you and has kids from another school coming and learning robotics?
So
I'm just asking you, like, would that ever be something you do? So have two different robotics clubs in your school at the same time, or am I just totally crazy?
So Lance, let me say this to you. From a person who lives and breathes fundraising with this one over here, Sammy, I would do anything.
Sammy, what would you do? Is that a yeah or nay? I'm just curious. You're just
But see, that's me off the bat.
$500 a month.
No.
My
thing is,
it's also no. Sammy said no. I like
So my thing is, it's the safety of the kids. And not only that, I'm there to make sure what the kids have, and it's their school to have the best of what they should have. Everybody else comes second. And I don't think you can do that. I don't think you can do both. You can't serve both at the same time.
with the same coach. We guys have the same teacher in both.
It sounds like
Sa-
somebody's trying to make their own way for what they want and not for what's best for the kids. That's the way, if you ask my opinion.
It's lunacy. I just said, like, it sound when you come to a hypothetical like that, you're like, damn, man, like, are you guys just trying to double dip and just get as much money as you can
I understand.
and not build a fucking program here?
Dude, Lance, I'm right with you. I hear you. I hear you.
Answer the question.
No, I'm glad you did, but I'm right
I'm
with
gonna be
you.
at the farm today. I'm like, I'm just gonna ask the
Yeah,
question.
you asked me a question, but I have my answer.
Appreciate-
For somebody who's still putting things together at school, no. My answer would be no. I wouldn't do it.
Thank you for being on the show. I appreciate it.
Yep.
We still have actually like one show.